Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they...
Hey everyone, welcome back to Immediate Movie Reactions. I'm here after seeing Bad Boys Ride or Die. This is not Bad Boys Ride for Life, or Bad Boys for Life, which apparently came out in 2020, and I had no idea. I didn't know that there had been one since Bad Boys 2 or whatever it was, way back in the 90s. And so, yeah, what is this movie? This movie is hopefully the conclusion to the series, and I do want to say, if you could please hit that like, share, and subscribe and all that stuff for me, because I didn't want to see this movie. I didn't, and I saw it for, this, for the channel, for you, for everybody, and I appreciate you doing that. God, I guess I'm stalling a little bit because technically this is a shitty movie, right? This is a really bad movie. This is a Jerry Bruckheimer movie, and if you've kind of grown up watching his stuff, you know what it's like. It's going to be slick, it's going to be stylistic, it's going to be kind of cool in aspects, but it's going to be it's just a Hollywood blow things up crappy movie, right? There's some exposition that explains sort of what's going on. It's weird because it carries on the story, which I guess was the 2020 story. It doesn't really matter at all because you don't need to know, you don't need to see any of the other movies. You just need to know that Mike and Martin Lawrence, whose name Marcus, Mike and Marcus are now kind of older. Like, that is never in any way addressed in this movie, that they are now all older. The story picks up almost exactly from where the last movie left off, where apparently Mike Lowrey, who's played by Will Smith, fought with his son, and now they need to get the son out of jail because the captain has been framed, Joe Pantoliano, and I thought for sure he was coming back from the grave. He did not. And then a whole bunch of shit happens and things blow up and there's gunfights all over the place. There's a really cool fight scene in a prison, but they literally fire thousands and thousands of bullets, and it isn't until later in the movie that anybody ever even really gets hit. Very 90s, very kind of John Woo, hard-boiled, with, holding your gun sideways and, even firing your assault rifle sideways. It just doesn't make sense. There's like this, I don't know, paramilitary organization that it's never clear if they are part of the cartel or not. They're clearly working for the cartel, and they're corrupting the government. And there's this thing about, because they're trying to protect us from 9/11 and more terrorists by working, none of it makes sense. And that's the thing about Bruckheimer movies and about movies from that time period, because that's all this is. This is a time period piece almost, where they just throw in fast cars and then they throw in strip clubs and they throw in gunfights, and it doesn't matter what happens because reasons, right? Oh my gosh. So, but here we go. I actually thought, from the previews, I was really unsure because really it was just that one preview over and over again with the same jokes, and they were bad. They were not funny. And if you didn't like those, you're not going to like the humor in this movie, right? Because that's about as good as it gets. However, there is some really good moments. It kind of starts out, this is like a CinemaSins start to finish, right? Everything, the aging partners, the bad boys, the dynamic duo, the captain who has died and is now coming back from the grave, the good guy who turns out to be a bad guy, all that stuff, right? Everything happens. Every cliche happens in this movie. So what happens is Mike Lowrey is getting married. Marcus is doing the toast for the wedding and has a heart attack, and then he has this vision and starts what is kind of cool, like this sort of vision quest where he feels like he's invincible, he can't die. That kind of falls away very quickly, and it only comes back at moments where they need. And then also Will Smith starts having panic attacks, but again, those only happen when they're necessary for the plot. There's all sorts. There's this paramilitary organization, there's the police, there's the bad boys and their crew. Then there's this also, the marshals are in there because Joey Pants, his daughter is now a marshal and is hunting Will Smith's son, who is gotten out, and there's like this big fight scene on a plane, which is actually kind of cool. There are some really cool set pieces. Some of it looks really good, but the heart of this movie is actually Martin Lawrence and the way he reacts and the way he is just being in this movie. I think that's actually fantastic. He's the funniest part. He's the most entertaining part of this movie. The rest of it, I think, could just be, it's bland. You can take it or leave it. It's all right. Like I said, this is kind of a shitty movie. It's poorly written. It's generally poorly acted, other than Martin Lawrence and kind of Will Smith just being Will Smith. Everyone else is pointless. Vanessa Hudgens is in this movie for what reason? She's a badass, but she's not a badass. And then there's this other guy who's kind of a computer hacker. And then there's a bad guy computer hacker. And you think that there's maybe going to be a battle between the two as they have to, hack their... But, again, it's like, again, back to the 90s where they just hack into things and then it works, and it doesn't work that way. So, kind of what is happening is now they have to clear the captain, right? So they're going through everything and then they're letting it all go, and none of that matters. And so...
For you bad boys, what you gonna do?
I'm sorry, quick interruption there. I got stopped because mall security does not like me here, so I got to finish up quick. This is a poorly shot movie. This is a movie that through most of it, you're seeing a lot of the scenes. They're like 30% way too close. They're weird close-ups, and then there's weird scenes where they do like these point of view from the guns or from like as they're looking at watches, like you're seeing the watches point of view. I don't understand. None of that makes sense except that maybe the filmmaker figured out like, oh, hey, this will be cool. I don't know. That doesn't make any sense. There are scenes where the actual what you're supposed to be watching is blocked because the camera's behind a desk or a plant or a lamppost or something, and you can't quite see everything that's going on, and it just feels like the whole thing is going from set piece to set piece to set piece, and there isn't really a coherent story. So all of that being said, I did see this. It was nearly a full crowd. It was a smaller theater. I thought that this would maybe have a bigger opening. I mean, it's Saturday night, 7:30, right? It's got to be packed. Not really. There was a good amount. What I loved, though, is that this is definitely a different crowd than normally what I see movies with. And seeing or hearing the reactions, hearing people laugh and hearing people call back and talk, and normally I hate when people are talking in a movie, but like it really fit. It added to it. I think that the people that we see these movies with can make or break the movie. I remember seeing, and I probably talked about this before, I was seeing the movie Unbreakable, which is goddamn a terrible, terrible movie, but watching it with a crowd, a full theater of people laughing at how bad the movie was, made me appreciate that. Like I enjoyed that experience. And so even if I don't like this film, I think that seeing it with a group of people that were enjoying it really kind of made me like it a little bit more. I did laugh. I'm not going to lie. I laughed. I thought there were some really cool scenes. I'm not going to step out and say that I don't enjoy a good stylistic fight or gunfight or whatever. It's a movie that hasn't grown up. It's a group of characters that have never really grown up. So, by that aspect, it's more of the same. So I'm going to cut here. See it, stream it, or skip it. I would say stream it. I think, there are some big set pieces. There's one fight toward the end where like a plane crashes through a building, and that's pretty freaking cool looking. But there's just too much going on. There's not enough growth in the characters or the filmmaking or the story in any aspect to say that this is a movie that belongs in 2024 or deserves you spending money on. But if you're a big, huge fan of the franchise, I mean, how many movies do we get anymore with two African-American actors as the leads, primarily black cast? So we're not really getting those big films like we need to. So maybe we support it that way. But anyways, I'm sorry. Final verdict, stream it. I think it's a cool movie maybe to see at home, but don't waste your money on it. That's where we are. Thank you. I do appreciate you all. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you after the next movie.